Okay, let's unpack this. We are embarking today on a deep dive that, well, it fundamentally challenges the separation we all feel between ourselves and the universe.
It really does.
We often treat miracles as these interruptions, moments when the rules just seem to break.
Yeah.
But what if that's the wrong frame entirely?
That is the core premise of the source material you shared. It's proposing an idea that's far more elegant than, just divine rule breaking.
More elegant, how so?
Well, the insight we're going to be pursuing is this. A miracle isn't the suspension of universal laws. It's a sudden, powerful, and total alignment with deeper laws. Laws that we as a species have just forgotten.
That is a staggering thought. I mean, it completely shifts the burden of proof. It's not about the supernatural anymore. It's almost historical.
Right.
The idea that learning isn't about inventing new things, but about remembering our place within this grand cosmic structure.
Yeah.
It frames our entire journey today as what? An excavation.
An excavation of a forgotten memory of existence. Exactly. And our mission, it's pretty ambitious. We're going to explore the scientific and the philosophical corners of reality that suggest that existence, just right here, right now, already defies a complete logical explanation.
And a big part of that is our own consciousness.
A huge part. We'll show how our consciousness isn't just some accidental byproduct of evolution. It's actually central to holding the entire cosmic whole together.
So we're setting the stage with this initial question then. Can we ever truly achieve full knowledge? Can we understand the whole mechanism of existence?
Yeah.
Because the sheer immensity of the universe, its age, its size, doesn't that mathematically and even physically just negate the possibility of ever reaching 100% certainty?
I think it has to. The source material suggests that the endless quest for discovery that defines science is, paradoxically, this constant, maybe even unconscious admission of the miraculous nature of reality itself.
So we have to begin with humility.
We must. Science is constantly finding new horizons to chase, new variables to account for. If the quest for knowledge is truly infinite, then maybe the capacity for constant awe and mystery is the intended state of being.
The journey itself is the revelation.
The journey is the profound revelation.
Okay, so to start this excavation of our forgotten memory, we have to confront the very tools we use to understand reality.
Logic, mathematics.
Right. And the paradox here is that the more rigorously we apply these logical tools, the faster we seem to hit this philosophical wall, a wall that forces us to admit the miraculous.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The universe seems to respect our systems enough to let us discover some rules, but it absolutely refuses to be entirely contained by them.
We rely on these systems because they're internally consistent, right? Math defines our physical world, from gravity to quantum mechanics.
It does. But even within this most rigorous of fields, there is an inescapable foundational boundary.
And the source material points directly to one of the most intellectually jarring moments of the 20th century to prove this point. I'm talking about Kurt Gödel.
Yes. His incompleteness theorem from 1931. This wasn't just, a tricky math problem. For mathematics, it was a full-blown existential crisis.
So what was the thinking before Gödel?
Well, before Gödel, mathematicians like David Hilbert, they had this dream. They believed that if a mathematical system was complete, it could, in principle, prove every single true statement within its boundaries.
A perfect, unassailable foundation for all knowledge.
That was the goal. And Gödel just shattered that certainty. He proved that in any sufficiently complex formal system, and that just means, a system based on established axioms and rules like basic arithmetic,
Okay.
there will always be true statements that can never be proven or disproven using the rules of that system.
Wait, okay, let me make sure I'm really getting the full weight of that. It's not just that we haven't found the answer yet.
No, it's much deeper.
It's that the rules we set up for ourselves actually prevent us from ever finding the answer from within. It's like a computer program designed to solve everything, but it has this flaw baked in that prevents it from verifying its own existence.
That is a perfect analogy, precisely. To prove the truth of an axiom within a system, you have to step outside that system. You have to appeal to a higher principle, or you have to introduce a new rule.
But the moment you do that,
The moment you introduce that new rule, you've just created a new, even more complex system, which Gödel's theorem guarantees will also contain its own unprovable truths. It's a paradox that extends outwards forever.
So if the entire cosmos runs on physics, and physics is defined by the language of mathematics,
Then Gödel showed us that the universe contains certain secrets that our formal logic, as we currently construct it, can never fully capture or resolve.
the miracle, the mystery, it's structurally embedded in the math itself. Logic is fundamentally incomplete.
Absolutely, and that sets a definitive a conceptual hard limit on our intellectual pursuit. But what's so brilliant about the source material is how it notes that this limitation is mirrored by an equally absolute physical barrier.
The problem of scale, the cosmic horizon.
Exactly.
So we're moving from the abstract limits of the mind to the very concrete limits of light. Let's talk numbers again because they're overwhelming. The observable universe is roughly 94 billion light years across.
And it's 13.8 billion years old.
And this is where the speed of light becomes, well, philosophically critical, isn't it?
It's everything. Because light takes time to travel and the universe has a finite age, there are events and structures so far away from us that the light carrying information about them, it just hasn't reached us yet. And it may never.
So, to be clear, we're not just saying our telescopes aren't powerful enough yet.
No, it's not a technology problem.
We're saying that information from those regions is physically, perpetually inaccessible to us. If we can't observe it, we can't measure it. And if we can't measure it, we can't integrate it into our complete model of reality.
It is the ultimate boundary. And science itself has had to codify this unknowing. It's called the cosmic horizon.
I like to think of it as a physical, uncrossable curtain hanging around us.
A curtain dictated by the speed of light and the age of the cosmos. That's a great way to see it. Behind that curtain, reality continues, maybe infinitely, but our knowledge simply cannot reach it.
This is such a powerful realization. Science, which prides itself on knowing, has had to literally name its two biggest limitations: the logical horizon, which is Gödel, and the physical horizon.
The cosmic horizon. Both of them admit that there is a vast unknowable rest of the story.
So if full knowledge, meaning a system that can explain everything within its own bounds, if that's impossible because of these internal and external limits, how do we explain the breakthroughs we do make? If we can't capture the whole truth, then what even is discovery?
And that brings us to this profound idea that discovery is actually anamnesis.
Anamnesis. This concept is the philosophical foundation for the whole forgotten memory idea.
Right. Anamnesis is an ancient Greek term. It means recollection, or the act of retrieving a deep, forgotten memory. It's more than just simple recall, though. It implies remembering a fundamental truth that the soul, or the mind, possessed before its current experience.
And we primarily tie this to Plato, don't we?
We do. Plato argued that our soul, before being encased in a physical body, was exposed to what he called the forms.
The perfect ideal blueprints of everything: truth, beauty, justice.
Exactly. So when we learn something like geometry or a moral truth, we aren't creating it from scratch. We're just shaking off the dust and remembering a perfect truth we somehow already know.
It's a radical reframing of what it means to learn. If we accept the limitations of the cosmic horizon, then we have to accept that true discovery can't be based solely on sensory input from the external world.
Because that input is necessarily incomplete.
Right. So profound understanding must rely on some kind of internal resonance.
An internal resonance, that's the key. And that explains why so many scientists and mathematicians describe their biggest breakthroughs not as invention, but as feelings of recognition.
It's the aha moment. The moment that feels less like finding a key and more like realizing the key was in your pocket the whole time.
Precisely. When Einstein finalized EMC2 it didn't feel like he conjured a new law for the universe to obey. It felt like he had finally distilled the fundamental harmony that was already vibrating within the structure of reality. He was recognizing a deep truth that his brain was capable of resonating with.
And this brings us back to that famous quote that really encapsulates the core miracle of this whole section. Albert Einstein's observation that the most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible.
That statement is the ultimate philosophical hurdle. We've just demonstrated that logic is incomplete and observation is restricted. Yet, our tiny, delicate human brains, forged in dust and fleeting moments, can somehow grasp the laws governing gigantic, ancient stars and galaxies.
The fact that the structure of the human mind aligns with the structure of the cosmos.
That is the first great forgotten memory we're beginning to recall. It suggests we aren't separate from the mechanism. We're an integral component of it.
And if that alignment is real, if the universe is comprehending itself through us, then we have to dive deeper into the relationship between the knower and the known.
We have to.
So having established the external and internal limits of logic, we're now moving into the second phase of this deep dive. If learning is remembering, it suggests a profound unity between the observer and the observed.
Yes. We're no longer standing outside the machine looking in. We're looking inside a mirror.
The scientific framework for this, this ancient philosophical idea, is perhaps best embodied by the work of David Bohm.
The quantum physicist, who of course collaborated very closely with Einstein, Bohm's physics provides a modern, very detailed view of this forgotten memory of unity.
Bohm developed the concept of the implicate order. Now, this is a massive conceptual leap, so we need to slow down and really clarify what he meant by that.
Okay, so Bohm proposed that reality is structured on two levels. First, there's what he called the explicate order.
The explicate.
And this is the measurable, observable, separate reality we experience every day. Tables, stars, atoms, people. It's the unfolded, obvious reality of distinction and location.
And the second level is the implicate order.
Yes. The implicate order is the underlying, deeper reality where the whole universe is fundamentally enfolded into every single part of it. Enfolded. It's a realm of instantaneous connection and indivisible unity where everything is dynamically intertwined.
This is where we need that classic analogy, the hologram. Because it's hard to grasp this idea of the whole being contained in the part.
It is. So think about a stream of water, which Bohm himself called the hollow movement. The water itself is the underlying substance unified and constantly flowing.
Okay, so the stream is the whole thing.
Right. The explicate order is the specific turbulence you see on the surface. The waves, the eddies, the distinct bubbles. We focus on those separate forms because they're easy to see.
But they're all just water.
They're all just water. The implicate order is the unified, constant flow of the water beneath the surface that generates all those temporary forms. So if we discover a new particle in a lab, we're not finding something new. We're just watching a new ripple unfold from the existing unified stream.
And the hologram analogy really helps visualize how the information is stored. If you break a normal photograph, you just get fragments, a piece of an eye, a corner of a building.
But if you take a piece of holographic film and you shatter it, every single tiny shard still contains the entire original image. It might be dimmer, it might be less detailed, but the whole picture is there.
This is crucial. If the universe operates like a hologram, it means that our consciousness, our body, the atoms in my hand, each small piece must contain the organizational pattern of the entire unbroken cosmos.
And when we perform anamnesis or memory retrieval, we're simply allowing that latent, enfolded universal information to unfold into our conscious awareness.
So we aren't just separate observers looking at a machine. We are the machine becoming aware of its own design. We're the universe observing its own flow.
And the source material highlights this truth beautifully by contrasting David Bohm with his mentor, Albert Einstein. It really showcases Einstein's blind spot through this holographic lens.
Einstein was famously very uncomfortable with quantum mechanics, particularly the idea of non-locality.
Spooky action at a distance, as he called it. The idea that two distant particles could be instantaneously linked, which seemed to violate the speed limit of light.
He was searching for a unified field theory that preserved the idea of an objective reality that exists independent of the observer. He wanted certainty.
He was focused on the mechanism, on the objective, external truth. His famous question, "Does the moon exist only when I look at it?" shows his need for a separate, definite external machine. He wanted a measuring device, a technician that was separate from the object being measured.
But Bohm moved past this classical insistence on separation.
He had to. He realized that if the universe is defined by this hollow movement, then the machine and the mechanic are inseparable. The moment you measure something, you are folding and unfolding the universe, but you are not separate from that process. You're part of the flow.
The distinction is so powerful. Einstein sought a universal clock existing out there.
While Bohm realized that the stars, the clock, and the thought looking at them are all made of the same substance, unified in the implicate order.
And if the brain is the universe's way of remembering itself, then the brain must physically mirror the structure it's observing.
It has to. And this leads us to the breathtaking concept of the brain as a dynamic cosmic memory. This is a truly compelling idea that bridges philosophy and physical science. The brain is not just located in the cosmos, it is sculpted by the cosmos.
We're talking about a deep physical resonance here.
A very deep one. First, just consider our basic composition. The atoms in our neurons, the carbon, the oxygen, the nitrogen, they were all synthesized in the crushing heat of dying stars.
We are literally made of star stuff.
It's not just a poetic phrase, it's an empirical statement about our origin. The material of our thinking apparatus is the material of the cosmos, recycled and refined.
But the source material goes even further, pointing to structural and even rhythmic similarities.
It does. There are studies that have shown striking similarities between the neural networks of the human brain, how our neurons connect and group together in these complex filaments, and the vast, large-scale structure of the cosmic web.
The cosmic web being how galaxies are linked by immense filaments of dark matter.
Exactly. The mathematical patterns that govern how matter clusters in the universe are remarkably similar to the patterns that govern how thought clusters in the brain.
That's incredible. Our brain is a scaled-down, dynamic, structural analog of the 94 billion light-year observable universe. It's as if the universe created a map of itself and put that map inside the observer.
The miracle isn't that the universe is vast. The miracle is that the universe curved back on itself to create a lens, the human brain, that's capable of seeing its own face and remembering its own rules.
So the distinction between in here, our consciousness, and out there, the external cosmos.
It's just a trick of the light. It's the illusion of the separated self that we have to overcome to retrieve that forgotten memory.
And this unified view makes our participation not just optional, but essential, which brings in John Wheeler's concept of the participatory universe.
Right.
If we are the consciousness, are we the condition for reality's existence?
Well, Wheeler proposed the universe is a self-excited circuit. Think of the beginning of the universe not as a hard, definite event, but as a vast field of potential, described by quantum mechanics, a fog of possibilities.
And that potential remained a probabilistic fog until what?
Until a conscious observer was finally capable of looking back at it.
So that act of looking back, the act of knowing, is what validates the existence of the past. It collapses the wave function of possibility into a definite history.
That's Wheeler's point, and it's beautifully captured in the dialogue. Existence needs a knower. We don't just happen in the universe. We finalize the universe's reality by looking back. It suggests a profound, non-linear relationship with time.
And here's where the idea of the forgotten memory becomes truly dynamic. If the brain and the cosmos are one continuous dynamic memory, is that memory fixed? Or if our consciousness is required to validate the past, is it also defining the next moment? Are our intentions the universe deciding its own future?
That is the ultimate question of agency. And it's the perfect transition. We now move from the realization that we are unified with the cosmos to the realization that this unity grants us a radical freedom, a freedom found only in the present moment.
Okay, so if we are not merely receiving information from some hostile external reality, but we're actively participating in its definition, then the only place that power can exist is right now, this instant.
Exactly. So we now have to dismantle the mechanical view of time and locate the miracle within the present moment.
And the source material focuses on this profound paradox of the dimensionless now.
Right.
We live our entire lives within the present, yet mathematically the present moment is impossible.
It's a complete paradox.
Let's define time conventionally, just to be clear. The past is utterly gone. It cannot be retrieved, only remembered.
Gone. And the future has not yet arrived. It doesn't exist yet. It's only anticipated.
So all we have is this transition point, this knife edge between what was and what will be.
And logically, physically, a point like the present moment, it has no dimension, it has no duration, it's infinitesimally small, it's essentially zero.
And this is where logic just falters completely. How can the totality of existence, the 94 billion light years we just discussed, the 13.8 billion years of history, the entirety of your conscious experience, how can all of that fit inside something with zero duration? How does existence fit inside zero?
It can't be contained by logic, yet it is existence itself. The source describes this infinitesimal, all-encompassing moment as the eye of the needle.
The eye of the needle.
Through which the entire camel of the universe must constantly pass. Every single moment is a fresh birth that defies logical containment and measurement. It's always new.
And this leads directly to the core reason why logic cannot contain reality, this constant generative flow of existence, the transcendence of reason.
As we discussed earlier with Gödel, logic requires stasis. For any logical system to work, $R must equal $. But life, the cosmos, existence, it demands flow. The process of becoming. All must become $.
So if the moment is the present moment, it instantly transitions to $. $. Cannot remain to confirm its own identity. The present moment dies to make room for the new moment.
$. Can never repeat itself, so it can never truly confirm that...
This constant transformation is a perpetual act of self-transcendence, then.
It is. Every nanosecond, the universe is creating a new, unique moment that cannot be derived strictly from the one that came before. It's not a mechanical calculation. It's an act of spontaneous, generous creation.
That's a beautiful way of framing that constant transition. The source describes it as the universe breaking its own heart every nanosecond,
Yeah.
just to give us another chance to experience wonder.
It's a sustained sacrificial act that continuously regenerates reality. If existence requires this constant self-overcoming, then the miracle is the sheer fact of continuity.
And this realization leads us to what is maybe the most liberating philosophical point of this entire deep dive,
Yeah.
the irrelevance of mechanism.
Yes. If the universe is already functioning perfectly via this illogical self-regenerating flow, then we are free from the burden of having to figure it all out.
The source material states it so profoundly. The answer hardly matters. We are not required to understand the mechanism of existence in order to exist.
If we were, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Our primary state is one of experience, not technical mastery.
If we had to manually calculate the trajectory of the Earth and the fusion within the sun and the synaptic firing in our own brains just to survive the next 5 seconds, we'd be paralyzed.
The very fact that we are free to think, to feel, to listen proves that the mechanism is taken care of for us.
We're freed from the existential need to be the technician. We're permitted and maybe even encouraged to simply be the experiencer.
Right. You don't need a PhD in cosmology to appreciate the sunset.
Let's go back to that child in the garden analogy, but let's deepen the contrast. The child isn't just ignorant of the physics. The child is inherently unconcerned with it.
Completely unconcerned. They don't need to know the fluid dynamics of the wind or the botany of photosynthesis or the gravitational constant to feel joy in that garden. They just play.
And the moment we stop trying to solve the universe as this complex, detached problem,
we stumble upon an ancient, liberating concept that many traditions use to describe this state of pure experience. Lila.
Lila.
Lila. From Sanskrit, it's often translated as divine play or cosmic sport. And this concept completely rejects the Western notion of the universe as a machine to be fixed or a puzzle to be solved.
So in this view, the universe isn't a test. It's not a linear narrative striving for some goal.
Not at all. It's a piece of music. And the purpose of music isn't to analyze the sheet notation or rush to the final bar. The point is the joy, the dance, the flow while the music is playing.
This is the critical transition from duty to freedom. We started with the greatest logical minds. Einstein looking for the sheet music, Bohm looking for the instrument. But Lila suggests the listener's highest purpose is just to listen to the song and participate in the dance. This is the profound takeaway of this section for me, that forgotten memory might just be the knowledge that we are inherently safe within the mystery. We don't need to manually hold the 94 billion light years of reality together with our conscious understanding.
It holds itself constantly and generously in that dimensionless now.
So if the mechanism is irrelevant and the flow is freedom, what is our proper approach to this self-creating, unified reality? This final section explores what happens when we replace that analytical curiosity with pure gratitude and love.
And this starts with a revolutionary idea the sources propose. A complete redefinition of survival.
Right. We're conditioned by popular culture, by evolutionary biology, to believe that survival is born of fear.
It's the instinct to avoid death, to run from the threat, to stave off the game over screen for as long as possible. It is fundamentally fear-based.
But the source material just flips that perspective entirely. It asserts that survival is not fear-based at all. Survival is actually the love of being.
This changes everything. Everything about motivation, about meaning. We don't breathe because we're terrified of suffocation. We breathe because the air is sweet, because the sensation of the breath coming in is intrinsically good.
We don't eat just to avoid starvation. We eat to taste the concentrated sunlight stored in the fruit.
Exactly. Our deepest, most fundamental drive is not the avoidance of annihilation, but the enthusiastic affirmation and participation in the game. We cling to this divine RPG, not out of fear of losing, but out of absolute love for the magnificent, illogical gameplay.
And this shift from perpetual defense and conquest to gratitude and enthusiastic participation, it redefines our entire relationship with the cosmos.
It moves us away from the relationship of conquest and toward the relationship of romance.
Science, in its traditional objective mode, often adopts the relationship of conquest, doesn't it? It treats the universe as something external to be stripped naked, dissected, and pinned down to determine how it works.
The goal is certainty through separation.
But the suggested approach is to approach the universe with the vulnerability and surrender of romance, to embrace the universe, to feel how it loves. The goal is truth through integration.
That analogy is so effective. When you look at someone you love, you don't perform a detached chemical analysis. You don't try to strip away the illusion to find the mechanism underneath.
No, you lose yourself in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You merge your reality with theirs, and in that very act of losing the small self, you find your greater connected self.
And if we approach the universe with that same gratitude, with a willingness to participate rather than dominate, the universe reflects back that loving faith. This reflection is possible because of the structural unity we were talking about in Section 2.
We have to return to the idea that consciousness is the great container for all things.
Yes. If consciousness is the field, the ultimate space in which reality manifests, as suggested by Bohm and Wheeler, then there is no genuine outside.
The limits of logic, the vastness of the horizon, the chaos, the physics, it's all happening within the framework of the great you.
If you are the ocean, you cannot be drowned by the waves. And this brings us to the final, most profound rediscovery, the culmination of this entire thought experiment.
The forgotten memory.
The forgotten memory is the realization that we are not small, fragile entities separated from a hostile void, fighting against impossible odds. The treasure we find at the end of this journey is the core truth.
We have never lost, we could never lose.
We fell into the illusion of separateness when we forgot that the structure of our mind mirrors the structure of the cosmos. We believed we were the victim of external laws, but the forgotten memory is that we are the substrate that supports the light, the logic, the rules, and the flow. We are the void and the light. We are the player and the game.
We cannot lose the universe because we are the universe. The miracle in the final analysis isn't that the universe occasionally deviates from its rules,
but that it sustains itself in every dimensionless moment simply because the love of being compels it to continue. The miracle is not what is happening, but that it is happening at all.
What a transformative journey. I mean, we started by just mapping the boundaries of human knowledge, the conceptual barrier of Gödel's incompleteness, and the physical wall of the cosmic horizon.
And we found that these limits weren't failures of science, but structural necessities that point toward a deeper, unified truth.
We then explored David Bohm's holographic vision, realizing that the entire universe is enfolded within every part, and that our brain is a dynamic memory, a scaled-down analog of the cosmic web itself.
Which led us straight to John Wheeler's idea that the universe actually requires our consciousness to validate its past and maybe to define its present.
And finally, we found this incredible liberation in the flow of the Dimensionless Now, realizing the irrelevance of the mechanism. We learned that survival is the love of being, and that the cosmos can be approached through romance rather than conquest.
The ultimate knowledge gained, really, is the realization of absolute safety within this ongoing illogical mystery. You don't need to try and manually solve the cosmos, you are the cosmos. And it holds itself together through this constant generative flow.
So we'll leave you with one final thought, something for you to mull over as you step back into your day. The discussion concluded that the universe reflects a loving face back to us when we approach it gratefully. If the dynamic self-creating memory of the cosmos is indeed influenced by your presence and your intention, what specific, grateful action might you take today to embrace the universe, thereby influencing the face it reflects back to you in the next Dimensionless Now?
Thank you for taking this profound deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.